Hello, I'm Gary York, Corruption Behind Bars. I recently took to the streets in Havana, Cuba, to try to speak to citizens about the prisons and jail situation over in Cuba in this time and day of 2017. Very few people would speak to me. As a matter of fact, I only had 2 people that agreed to do an interview with me. You'll see those interviews shortly. The conditions in the Cuban prisons are subhuman, and the food is unfit to sustain any kind of health. Citizens who refused to interview with me on camera told me that corrupt officers bring local village girls to the prison for profit from prostitution rings. They also told me there are a lot of abuse and beatings within the prison system from the officers toward the inmates. The proportionality of Cuba, which has one of the highest prison populations in the world. Cuba has 57,000 inmates spread across the state in a country with 11.3 million people. Many of those inmates have waited from 17 months to 24 months just to go into court for their very first court appearance. But on the other hand, the Cuban government has a zero tolerance for drugs and gangs. I found out from everyone I spoke with that almost no gang exists in Cuba. The government will not tolerate it. They also do not tolerate drugs. However, on the other hand, the dilapidated prison system is a very tough prison system in Cuba to survive. And the sentences are very harsh. One man I learned received 7 years for stealing 7 mangoes. Please watch the 2 interviews and decide for yourself what you think about the Cuba prison system. And thank you for listening to Corruption Behind Bars. I'm Gary York, and I hope you enjoy this video. My name is Gary York, Corruption Behind Bars, and I'm in Old Havana, Cuba today with Raul. And Raul has been helping us out here in Old Havana, being a tour guide for us and showing us things. And I wanted to ask Raul a couple of questions, and he said I could ask, and he would answer as best he could. Raul, thank you very much for the video. I wanted to ask you a question. How many jails are in Havana? 2 jails. And how, in your opinion, from what you know, how are the jails as far as the food and the treatment? Very bad. Do the inmates get 3 meals a day? No. 2 times a day they get food. And is the food of good quality? Bad quality. What is the normal food they serve in the jails?
Rice and eggs.
Rice and eggs. And not a lot of meat.
Sometimes even with the meat, chicken for more.
Sometimes. Have you had any trouble with the jails in Havana as far as, we call it in America, sicknesses and illnesses, where the inmates become sick in the jail? Do you have any medical treatment?
Yeah, sometimes you have the medical, the doctors, the medicine is very bad quality.
So it's not good doctors?
No, good doctors.
Okay. Any trouble with the inmates' gangs? Are there gangs in Cuba?
No, Cuba no.
So the gang is no problem in Cuba?
No problem. Cuba is very safe.
Yes.
Yeah, it's very safe about that. No guns, no nothing.
Good.
No violence.
I notice a lot of military and police on the streets, so they
take care to the tourists.
And they control the gangs. No gangs here. Okay. It seems very nice for us walking on the streets with no problem.
No problem, sir. No
okay. Now, as far as the correctional officers, you know, the officers in the jail. Do you know if they make good money or no money?
No, normally that depends. When you stay to the government side, example general, something like that, have to decide.
Okay. Do you believe that the jail is clean and sanitary? No?
It's very bad.
Very bad? So it's not a good place to go to jail in Havana? Or any in Cuba?
In Havana, in Camagüey, very, very.
Now, what about the prisons? We just talked about the jail. Do you have what we call in America the prison, the big one, the state prison?
Yeah, in Santiago de Cuba, Boniato.
In Boñato is the state prison. Same thing, little food.
Very different. The same.
And I'm not trying to influence your answers. I just don't know. You know, I've never been to Cuba before, so I was curious. The inmates have family visitation, where the family can come visit in Cuba?
Yeah.
And do you know how many times they can visit?
1 time per month.
1 time per month for visit. Only once. And when the visitors go into prison, are they searched? They search? Okay. With the hands, do you know, or do they make everything?
I have the hands
and the wand. Okay. So you would say the prison conditions, I'm just asking, in Cuba, and the jail conditions, poor.
So I have more
Poor or good?
More
More
poor.
poor. Do the inmates get blankets for the winter, or does it get very cold?
No. The family brings it to you.
The family, if you have blankets, it's supplied by the family.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, you've helped me out. I'm going to ask other people questions too that are willing.
Yes.
And I thank you very much for taking a few minutes to talk to me about it. Not everybody's willing to. Thank you, sir. Corruption Behind Bars, and I'm in Old Havana, Cuba today on day 2 with Mr. Lazaro. Thank you for being with us today. Pleasure. I just want to ask you a couple of questions. In Cuba, for the prison system and the jail system, do they try to avoid putting people in prison and try to help them to learn, to rehabilitate and get back on the street and be normal citizens?
Yes, perfectly, normally. That's the major intention. Whenever a person really commits a crime, if it is not really like a high crime, then you just kind of like retrain, and then you're also given the possibility to get some sort of manual skills so that you become a useful person to the society. Also, many of these prisoners are just even given lectures on different topics related to the attention of the families, of their security system, and also they are also giving concerts by important Cuban singer-songwriters in order to kind of like help the life that they have whenever they are inmates.
So Cuba actually strives to try to keep everybody out here in society working and doing something productive.
Exactly, yeah, sure. This is a country that doesn't really abandon anyone. Once you have a problem, you just can go and ask for help at any time. And at some point, it is almost like blind justice, because it doesn't really matter if you probably worked or did not work for a long time, whatever. Many people, unfortunately, do not respond to the interests of the government. They are kind of like socially, detached way. But it doesn't matter that you're not going to get for free your medical services or your education or your family or something like that. And at any time, you will be given a chance to feel like help. You're not going to be stranded. You're not going to be thrown along. Right. This is something that happens.
You're not going to be just left out to dry.
No, sure not.
And just quickly, I know your time is short today. I was told yesterday that there really is no gang problem in Cuba. Is there? Do you know if that's true, or
there's no gang. There's no gang trouble. There are unfortunately like some people who behave in a wrong way, do not coincide with the government or any place that they are at. They're just like not socially acceptable, I would say.
Right.
But this goes for a very long background. We ain't judge or anything. We know that what happens with all of these people is just simply because they fall into the wrong hands, unfortunately. But there's no such gang thing here in Cuba. There's no such thing.
Very good.
That doesn't really happen here in Cuba, no.
And then to end out our interview today, you do though have your hard criminals that do stay in prison in Cuba, right? There are some, just like in every country, that just don't learn and they just don't make it and they have to stay in prison.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
And do you know if there's a lot of prisons in Cuba, a few prisons? Or?
Well, that is a question that is really hard to answer because there's no publication actually. There's no information that goes behind it. I'm sure if there is, at least this is something that I don't come across each day, or at least it doesn't come in the regular media that we get in our screens all the time or in the newspapers. But I cannot really go for a cipher and tell you this amount corresponds to this or that. It's not really like a.
So as far as everyday life in Cuba, that's kind of a hush-hush issue.
No, it's not really like a problem that hush-hush. It's not that you cannot talk about it. The thing is that people and the daily orientation, the social life that we keep, doesn't really comprehend many of these concerts that have been delivered by important singer-songwriters of Cuba are even televised. These are things that are not, like hush-hush or something like that. And I am sure that even before what preceded the broadcasting had contained information related to whatever the prisons are, the systems, and the how many people or whatever, or probably a specific place, but it's not really hush-hush. It's nothing like
okay.
But we don't simply get to it.
But it's just something that's not spoken about too much.
No.
Okay.
No, really.
Well, I thank you for your time. I know you're busy today, but I thank you for stopping to talk to us.
My pleasure.
Thank you very much.
Let me ask you one thing. Can they give visits, family visits?
Sure. Yes.
Okay. How many a month? Week?
I have no idea. I think monthly.
Okay.
Monthly they
visit.
But there are also like prisons where they have like a women and men together. You know?
Oh,
yeah.
wow.
There are prisons where they have women and men together, so that they kind of like even if they want to get married, they can get married or things like that.
So they have men and women in the same prison in some
for some
locations.
Some locations.
Very
some
interesting.
locations.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Sure.
Take care. I'm Gary York, author of Corruption Behind Bars and Inside the Inner Circle. I hope you enjoy this video, and I hope it brings to light some issues that you may not know or be aware of involving the Cuban prisons and jails. Thank you.